Hello, I'm Jubin with Dana Legal Services, and in this video we're going to talk specifically about non-compete clauses and how they relate to patents and patentability. So the question we get asked often is, hey, I have a company that I'm working for, I've left the company and they have a non-compete agreement. What does that do in terms of me being able to work on things or patent things or create things that are competitive in nature with the other company I worked for? Well, the thing you need to avoid is misunderstanding what your non-compete agreement is covering. Because non-compete agreements, at least in the state of California, have restrictions that can be placed on you. In other words, a non-compete agreement can't be a blanket non-compete agreement. It has to have certain limitations. And we've done a video with people who are labor employment experts. They can help address that question with you and for you. But one of the things that I think is really important to understand is being creative and coming up with ideas that can be patented and doing things that are novel, unique, or different really don't get impacted by your non-compete agreement. The non-compete agreement is intended to stop you from taking your know-how, your information that you've learned with a company, at least from a patenting point of view, and taking it to another company, taking trade secrets, taking ideas that you worked on and doing the same thing for a different company. So when you get hired and you signed a non-compete agreement, it would have been at the time you were employed. Sometimes it's at the time when you're released from employment, if you're going to give you a big bonus or something. But bottom line, you have to understand what that non-compete agreement does. That non-compete agreement doesn't stop you from continuing your innovation, continuing your development, as long as you're not taking things from your previous company. So if you have some specific fact patterns, because all of these questions are answered in the context of very specific facts that are unique to you, then bring those fact patterns to us. We'll do a free consult with you to discuss what your options are, what the costs are to address them, and how to go about doing it. So for example, we could tell you that, hey, this idea you're working on is very closely related to the idea you were working on while employed. If you're doing developments and improvements based on the knowledge you had from your previous employer, you might be in a situation where you have to assign everything over. On the other hand, you may be able to go to that previous employer and say, hey, I'm doing this, I want to do this. And they may say, sure, go ahead and do it. We don't care about it. And in that case, you get it in writing, and then you can now go and do development on your own and not worry about the non-compete agreement, specifically as it relates to your patentable ideas that you create. Now, again, remember, non-compete agreements are talking specifically about you working with another company or another place that is in direct competition with the previous place you work for. They have severe restrictions in terms of what they can ask for. So geographic limitations, time limitations. In other words, it can't be that you can never work for another company in this industry forever in your life. That just doesn't make sense. Those kinds of clauses don't hold up. However, clauses that say, hey, for the next 6 months, you can't work for these 3 companies because they're our direct competitors. You can't innovate, develop, or do any work with those companies. So that's what you need to keep in mind. And does that give you the freedom then to go work on it on your own and then potentially have something that you can share? Well, again, that's fact-driven. And one of the things that we would look into is whether or not you can contact your previous employer and based on that, get permission to work on the idea because they're not worried about it. I'm Jubin with Dana Legal Services. We'd be happy to help you out, try to answer some questions. Here's our contact info. Reach out. We'll do the free consultation with you and we can go from there. Take care.